The modern egg farmer needs to worry about carbon footprint for a couple of reasons. We've obviously got a big challenge as a society with respect to sustainability of the environment, and every industry needs to step up to that challenge, and it's certainly a focus of the egg industry as a provider of a staple food to Australians. Farmers in particular are always looked to as stewards of the land, and they wear that responsibility heavily, and will, more than other industries even, be looking for those opportunities to improve. So that's one reason. The other's for an economic sustainability perspective, because egg farmers, many of which have been in the business for 3 or 4 generations, have to figure out how they're going to stay profitable and in business for another 3 or 4 generations.
I think I see it as everyone has a part to play, and it's something that we can do, and if we want to continue to be a food source for people, we want to try to be as sustainable as we can.
So eggs are a highly efficient sort of production system, and one of the benefits of that is lower environmental impacts for the product. Particularly if you look at something like greenhouse gas emissions, eggs are on the lower end of the spectrum of all the animal protein foods. So while egg production has a relatively low carbon footprint, there's still more that producers can do. Probably one of the most obvious across the economy would be solar energy. If you look at the carbon footprint of eggs, there's 3 main contributors. You've got feed and energy that's used on the farm and for grading and feed milling, and also a small contribution from manure. Out of these, by far the major contributor is actually from the feed grain production. Now, to understand the emissions from feed, firstly we've got to realise this is not actually emitted on the egg farm itself. It's produced from the transport of that grain, but before that it's from the harvesting and the planting. So one of the most effective ways an egg farmer can reduce their impacts is actually to reduce their feed. Genetic progress has been quite exceptional in the poultry industries in general, and so every year they're using slightly less feed to produce the same amount of output. So a layer hen consumes about 110 grams of grain per day, which is about 6 grams less than they would have consumed in 1985. 6 grams per bird per day may not sound like a lot of grain, but when you add that up over the national flock of 22 million birds, that's a large saving. Now the other part of that story is that over the same period of time, hens are producing around 55 more eggs over their lifetime than they were 20 years ago.
It's always about ways to try to be a bit more efficient with our costs, but then it's also looking into different ways that we can farm and trying to think, how can we do it differently?
We've got this challenge as a society, how we're going to feed a growing population, how we're going to get those nutrition outcomes that we want, and how we're going to do it in an environmentally sustainable way. Eggs are very well positioned on all of those fronts to provide that affordable protein to the community with a lower and lower carbon footprint over time.